Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Southern California as we get ready to race at the virtual Auto Club Speedway under the lights. It's race 21 of the Northwest Cup Series season, live on LSR TV, your home for sim racing. Justin Prince alongside Grant Renton, the broadcast booth. Wesley Otwin in the pits this evening with Charles Wooden in the director's seat for what's expected to be an exciting race tonight. 100 laps, 200 miles on the docket tonight, Greg, as we get ready to go racing on a beautiful night here at Auto Club.
Northwest boys gone Hollywood, Justin. Southern California, 2-mile D-shaped oval for 100 laps tonight, 200 miles distance. Going to be a heck of a show as always, and we are stacked here tonight, Justin. Over 30 cars have entered tonight's race here at Auto Club. Going to be quite the show. Couple newcomers to the field, including one who I think is going to really make some noise here in this race. I'm going to keep my eye on a guy making his debut in the number 31, Brad Carpenter. Watch out for him throughout the course of the race.
That's actually a name I recognize as well personally. Has a lot of speed in the 31 machine tonight. Could be someone who can prove to be an upset driver tonight in terms of victory lane. Speaking though of how things have shaped out entering the night, there's been a lot of discussion following the postseason with it still closing on in and lots of races still up for grabs. There are officially now still 5 drivers who have locked in via both the point eligibility and victories entering the night. Breitzman, West Jr., Frazier, White, and Stabnow. The next drivers back on victories are Walters, Tidrick, Lee Weaver, though, with the drops factored in, is still 1 spot back from eligibility behind Daryl Tidrick. Caden Anderson as well is up to 19th, Greg, in the standings amongst your winners.
So definitely climbing going on in that playoff hunt. We'll see how it goes here tonight in Auto Club. A lot of cars in the field, Justin, will set it up to where you can see some big shuffling going on in that standings tonight with just how many cars are here and the multi-groove racing this track produces. We can see a huge shakeup tonight.
Let's talk about this racetrack. Auto Club Speedway, 2 miles. Sister track to Michigan in terms of design, opened in the late 1990s. But it drives different because it's much more bumpier. The surface much more older, Greg. In turn, the speed's not as high, but it's still a challenging racetrack to drive at that, if you remember to real-world action, and if you've driven it on the sim, can provide a lot of back and forth in the first 20 laps each run.
It's a similar layout to Michigan where the Cup Series was earlier this season, Justin, but it drives a whole lot differently because of the bumpiness of this racing surface. That's where the big difference between them lies in. Like you mentioned, the multi-groove racing, a lot of different passing zones. You can see guys 3-4 wide through the entire track here, the entire lap 3-4 wide, and you won't even miss a beat. So this is going to be so much fun to watch these guys. And 100 laps, that's a long way for these drivers. We were talking about it before we went on the air, looking like perhaps a 2-stop race for these drivers here tonight. So definitely going to be a wild one. But Justin, a big key here for this one, tire fall off. With that old surface, all those bumps, it's a cheese grater on those tires. Tire fall off is going to be immense tonight.
Absolutely. There's been many times I've seen drivers plowing to the outside wall here, Greg, here at this racetrack. But drivers meeting now reaching its final few moments before drivers hit towards the racetrack and take to said racetrack. Let's head over to Wesley Otwin in pit lane. Wesley, interesting race on the docket tonight.
Yeah, as always, welcome to our coverage on LSR TV. I'll be up and down pit road, finding the stories, finding the drama, and the excitement that goes on here around this 2-mile oval in Fontana, California, virtually. And one thing we talk about with Michigan, you just hinted on it a few moments ago, this track is unique. We're going to talk about this word several times in the broadcast, gentlemen. Precision banking, just like at Michigan, just like at Homestead, at Chicagoland Speedway. These type of racetracks offer precision banking. You're looking on the monitor, you're already seeing some of these black lines, these black grooves that are into the racetrack. The way these drivers negotiate can see the opportunity for 2, 3, and 4 wide racing around Auto Club Speedway. The same can be said about pit lane. You got to enter this track at your perfect pit road speed. Don't get called speeding or exiting on pit road. And if you play your cards right, the team that can gamble could be the superstar in the Hollywood City when this race concludes. I'll have all that coverage here tonight on Pit Road.
Thank you very much, Wesley. The first driver out who will set an official time. Keyword official time is Dan West Jr. One thing to note, Eric Cheney did set a time technically on the board on the left side of your screen. However, Greg, he will not be racing tonight, so he's expected to get an EOL and not make it to the grid in the 71 machine. Talk us through how you would drive this racetrack.
So we're going to see what Dan West Jr. does here. It looks like he's going to run the middle to the bottom here in turn number 3 as he went down low. You have so many grooves to choose from. For qualifying, I like to do what Dan West Jr. did right there. Bottom of the track through the corner, up top, and then dive down to the apron here crossing the strike. He will set the bar to 43.53. Remember, Cheney's time not going to count because he did not plan on racing. He just wanted to go out and set a time, so no Big Bird here tonight. But as West Jr., again, he goes through the inside line there of the turn and then shoots up to the top. During the race, you're going to see a lot of guys jockeying back and forth, but here in qualifying, it's about the fastest lap and the shortest way around. So that's why you're going to see just about everyone come down like you're seeing right here to the bottom in there, and you can separate the grooves out by what Wesley was talking about, different black lines throughout the track. As here's West Jr. off of turn number 4, crossing the strike, second lap, expecting them to be slower, and no, how about a little bit faster for West? 43.53. Chris White, top of the board, 42.96 right now for the 83, who's got another new look. Last week, he paid tribute to Jimmy Johnson in one of his old Busch Series schemes, back when it was known as the Busch Series. Tonight, running one of his championship schemes. Chris White paying tribute to the legend.
And it's fitting, especially as in real life, we're approaching Throwback Week with Darlington Raceway. Many drivers honoring Jimmy Johnson on the real world side. Chris White has been doing so, as mentioned, the past couple months for the 7-time champ. And he's someone, remember, who was very successful. Jimmy Johnson was at this various racetrack. One of his first wins of his career, in fact, came here at Auto Club Speedway, which is his home state track, mind you, back in 2002.
I believe that actually may have been his first career cup win at Auto Club. And what was it, his 10th career start or 10th start of the season, something like that? He made 3 starts the year before. But yeah, his first career win at Auto Club here back in 2002, and he's gone on to win several races here, so that paint scheme has definitely learned how to wheel here at Auto Club throughout the course of history. So we'll see if that paint scheme's got one more in it. Second place right now is Josh Marcy, the 35. As I say that, the Catman James Vining goes second.
And a bit of a different look, in fact, for Vining tonight on second of the board. That's the Cold-Blooded Racing Machine, a new and neon-like look with Megadeth on the back bumper. So he'll look to try and make sure his car's clean. Remember, was a front runner early on in the last race at Kentucky for tire wear settled on in. One of the drivers you were talking about is on track in Brad Carpenter. Also on track is Dan Lowther. He was also very strong last week at Kentucky.
Dan Lowther in the 63. Fresh off of a late model race over the past weekend at Meridian Speedway, the Idaho 208, his return to late model racing, and during that race out of Lowther's car saw possibly the tallest exhaust flames we've ever seen out of that late model. Flames shooting 12 feet in the air on pit road out of the exhaust of Dan Lowther's number 75 car that he drove at Meridian last week. But here he is back in the iRacing server, and he has run very strong the last few weeks, Justin. So I'm watching for him to really make some runs. He's got the internet issues finally resolved. He's back on good internet, not the mobile hotspot anymore in that number 63.
Gonna probably be saying hooray. He's 13th though on the board, and here's Brad Carpenter. You talked about a little bit in the pre-race, Greg. Talk us about him, as he's someone I've seen personally on the service have a lot of speed in that 31.
Yeah, he's another one of our local drivers here in the Northwest. Ran 4-cylinder late models for years and years and years in the Northwest. Stepped away a few years ago. Popped up in iRacing and the iRacing Northwest Tour, brought to you by Joe's Racing Products. Again, that's coming to LSR TV this winter. Brad Carpenter picked up a big win in that series at Iowa, which was kind of his exposure to iRacing in the Northwest scene, and followed it up. He was leading laps at Lane Year before getting caught up in an accident. So he's got a lot of speed in the late model side. See, this is my first time seeing him in a Cup car, but if what we've seen in a late model out of him is any indication, I'm watching for him to run up front.
Runs a lot of short track races on the service and official racing. Sean Brightsman, meanwhile, trying to put up an official time. Carpenter also yet to put up his. Sean Brightsman, curious to see how he does. Remember, strategy was the name of the game for him last race, and it was a gutsy call. That's seen him take home the checker flag on a 2-tire call with 30-plus lap mode left side tires.
And it worked. Brightsman, Mr. 2-tire stop here in the series. He made it work. And how many wins is that now this year that Brightsman has won on that strategy? Of his 6 wins in the Cup Series, that's got to be like 4 that have been won on the 2-tire pit stop late.
Believe you're around the ballpark as Brightsman. 40.520 on the first time. That's 16th. As mentioned, the second time's been quicker so far with the momentum by about a 10th or 2. He also only has just 1 pole on the season. A majority of the time, Greg, he's had to fight from the back of the field and then use that strategy to get track position.
Yeah, he's not really known in the series as a strong qualifier. He usually qualifies mid-pack, and he's sitting 17th, like you mentioned right now, at a 45.20. Brightsman, not known for strong qualifying runs, uses that strategy to get up to the front. But Justin, on a racing surface like this that grinds up the tires and you see tire fall off so extreme here, do you think the 2-tire strategy is worth it here tonight?
I've only seen it work by a couple laps, Greg. Honestly, could see a lot of 4-tire stops throughout the night. Wouldn't be surprised to see him try and stretch it. About a minute or 2 left in qualifying. They go to 5 minutes on that clock on the upper hand corner of your screen. Currently on the track, Casey Garber. He's looking to try and put in a good time. Frank Harris also on track looking to put up a time. Rest of the drivers have not elected to qualify so far in this session with not enough time to record said time. Curious on how Garber does here, Greg. We've seen him put up some times in practice last race, not so much times in said race.
Yeah, Garber has qualified the last 2 races but did not start the race, so curious if he will come into tonight's race. He was pit crewing in that Meridian race, the Idaho 208, so he's back home after an eventful trip home. I heard his team lost not 1 but 2 tires on the trailer on the way back, the 7-hour drive from Boise to Spokane. I was lucky I got to fly the trip instead of drive down, so my trip was just over an hour. But
hey Justin,
Garber went there.
Hey Justin.
Yeah.
So the only problem for Greg, he got on the wrong bus going home.
Touchy subject. My bus ride home was twice as long as my flight. Tell me how that works.
Okay, you have to explain that one to me before we get to the grid.
All right, so the way it works in my head is you get on the bus at the airport and it takes you to the plaza and you catch your connecting bus. I get the one bus in America that says, no, the stop at the airport is literally just one of the stops on this regular route. We got to go up to 2 casinos and a prison and then come all the way back before you get to the plaza to catch your bus to take you home. And that's what I get for deciding to be nice and say, no, I could just take the bus instead of calling someone to come pick me up. Guess what? I don't care if it's 2 in the morning next time I land. Somebody is getting up to come get me at the airport.
By the way, for Casey Garber, he took the bus to the front of the field in qualifying. The 4th fastest time in the session of 40.302. Final moments rounding up on the clock, but for Chris White, he's now secured the pole time for tonight's action. What a time set by Chris White, a 40.238, a couple 100s quicker than Tyler King, Daryl Tidrick, Garber, and Stabnell. For Chris White, that ties him for the most poles on the season with 4 apiece as a result. But overall, 26 cars putting in times. As mentioned, 33 drivers have brought their machines to the track. The only drivers not to put in a qualifying time are Fournier, Rick Heffley, along with Chris Torres, BJ Tidrick, starting at the back, Jeff Hagan, Rodney Goins, Josh Childress. Your drivers not electing to qualify in this respective session this evening. So overall, going to be an interesting one when the green flag flies in just a couple minutes, Greg.
Yeah, and I'm surprised with 2 of those names that did not qualify, Justin. BJ Tidrick and Josh Childress. Both those drivers have poles in the series this year. I'm very surprised that they did not go out and qualify.
But that drivers are now ready to roll their cars to the starting grid. Let's take a look at how they will start for tonight's action, 100 laps, 200 miles from Auto Club. It's Chris White on the pole tonight. Once again, his fourth pole in the season with Tyler King in second. Daryl Tidrick, one of his best qualifying performances all season, sees him up in P3 with KC Garber in fourth, also one of his best qualifying times. It's a tie in row 3 as James Vining gets the head by the 10,000th over Jeff Stabnow with a 40.305 apiece. Seth Frazier, Joshua Marcy in row 4 with Dan West Jr. starting alongside his son Devin West inside the top 10, Greg.
Kevin Smith with a new look this evening in the 00, going with the local In-N-Out Burger on the number 00. He'll start alongside Stephen Paulson, who rolls off 12th. Talked about Dan Lowther. He rolls off 13th in the number 63 with the new internet. Taco Bell Roy Grande 14th. Frank Harris in the number 11 rolls off in 15th with Brett Johnson, who's made kind of limited starts lately, Justin. We haven't seen him every week like we have in the past. He starts 16th. Robert Gambill in the 54 with Carl Burke to the outside, one number lower in 53. Sean Breitzman and John Ottenbacher, the LSR TV cars, roll off in row number 10.
Rounding up the top 30 positions, Stephen O'Hare in 21st spot. Brad Carpenter in his Cup debut deep in the field tonight. Only a 40.5 in qualifying, 22nd. Ricky Belcher in 23rd in the 42 with Bruce Lee Weaver and his Greg Biffle throwback in 24th. As mentioned, Eric Cheney wasn't expected to hit the track, actually pulled out to the grid, and because he qualified right in the middle of the drivers' meeting, his reward for that is end of longest line. Dennis Moore will start alongside him with the rest of drivers, not putting up times. BJ Tidrick, Ray Fournier not on grid, Rick Heffley, Jeffrey Hagan, Chris Torres, Josh Childress, Rodney Goins. Your expected entries tonight. Going to be interesting how things go as Wesley Outland is now on the radio with your pole sitter.
33 charter members of the virtual Order of Go Fast ready to giddy up and gallop around the Auto Club Speedway, and we're going to catch up with a fast qualifier with a tribute not only back in the 2000s to Jimmy Johnson in his number 83 machine for SimStar Motorsports. Chris White, you're on the pole 2 weeks in a row. Kentucky last week, now this week here at Auto Club. Things are going good for your Ford, but obviously it's got to be a lot better than what happened to you last Monday in Kentucky.
Yeah, we're looking for a good run here tonight. I usually run good here at Auto Club Speedway. Got a win here in the Xfinity Series. Yeah, Jimmy Johnson, the legend that he is, I just felt it'd be pretty cool to run some tribute schemes. We were able to put one in victory lane for him back in Indy. So hoping to do that again, have a better week than we did last week in Kentucky.
And a matter of fact, that's the last time that he went to victory lane was back on 4th of July weekend, gentlemen, at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway when he won the Brickyard. So good luck. You're coming to the green, and we'll see if we can talk to you at the end of things.
I sure hope so. Thanks a lot, guys.
For SimStar Motorsports, Justin, that's Chris White of the 83 Ford, ready to bring him to green here at Auto Club.
Thank you very much. And it just so happens to be 3 Fords in the top 3 positions tonight. The Interstate Synthetics machine of Chris White all set to let him roll. Green flag will bring us to the start of tonight's action. We're all set to go. Race 21 of the Northwest Cup Series season. All set to go. We're underway from Auto Club. Up in the fence already as he's lost the lead. Tyra King to the point. Heffley's also had trouble on the opening lap. He had missed the shift. Multiple drivers with problems to start off the race already as it's 3 wide in the pack.
What a start this race, Justin. Several drivers involved. Saw Daryl Tidrick slide. That's what started the whole thing with Chris White back there. Tidrick had a slide. We go caution here on lap number 1.
And it's Lowther amongst the drivers crashing at the front of the field and the back of the field. Well, that went pretty quick.
All right. Swag Replay getting a lot of exposure here tonight here on LSR TV. Let's take a look at what happened. He's got the West family right there. There's Brett Johnson, Chris White. See what happened here, Justin.
And this is coming off the corner, just snaps loose. And just overcorrects into traffic as Lee Weaver, Brightsman. A couple others get hit.
Ricky Bozer.
Yes, indeed. That was one of 3 major incidents on the first lap, mind you, in all of that. You also had, as mentioned, Chris White into the fence, and Rick Heffley missed the shift and spun in the grass.
Is it a full moon and we didn't know it because our previous broadcast had an insane amount of cautions, and here we are, lap number 1, we get another caution in this one, so I think we have a full moon out and we weren't aware of it tonight.
Don't go there, Greg.
Oh my. Checking around for the moon in sim on my end. It's in sim day, September 27th, just past 8 p.m. Let's touch upon the track temps. Very cool, 66 degrees Fahrenheit, 65 is the air temp, winds to the southwest 3 miles an hour, realistic and dynamic sky for tonight's action. I don't know if this is the way drivers wanted things to fare out. Already several having to take fast repairs. On the bright side, this is where the strategy can come into play a little bit. We talked about here, because you top off here, you can potentially make it on a one-stopper if it goes green.
That's a gutsy call, though, Justin. And I'm not talking about the fuel mileage aspect. I'm talking about the tire wear aspect. Your tires are going to be graded down to the cords by the end of one of those green flag runs. So if you're going to try to make it on one stop, you are going to have to conserve, not fuel, tires. That is a very gutsy call to try to do that.
Meanwhile, pit road is busy with several drivers involved in the caution flag, Wesley.
Yeah, the pit road is open. There's a lot of drivers coming in for service right now. Chris White, obviously the full car, he had some problems on the start. Fell all the way in the back. He's now having an adjustment done in pit stall 1 on car number 83. His Ford with service. He's now going to roll back down and away here. Also, Lowther with damage on his car. Him not hearing that they're going to do a master reset, but possibly will to be done on the 63 car. Other drivers with damage also included. Tidrick got a little piece of it. So did Bozer, as we mentioned. Brightsman did get caught up in the accident. He's on the pit lane as well for service, and all of these drivers in the early going pitting here at Auto Club.
By the way, still unfound if it's a full moon tonight in sim. Have to double check the moon.
Last time I looked up, no full moon, just craziness on the racetrack. So you know.
I don't think this is how we expected this race to start tonight, Greg, because normally you see this after the tires wear, not on fresh tires.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So I don't know what's going to happen here on this next restart. Hopefully it's a little bit cleaner than that. Tyler King leading the way. And Justin, I know that you haven't gotten the call of the truck series, but the last 2 races, Tyler King in the number 44 truck has run very, very strong in that series with a 2nd and a 3rd in the last 2 truck series races. And here he is leading the cup race. Tyler King, he might be one of the hottest drivers in the series right now.
Yeah, we've seen him perform very well a couple times, Greg, and potentially had race-winning speed in those said races. Think back to the month of August, he was in contention for a couple of those races.
He has always had a lot of speed in that number 44 Ford Mustang, just not able to put it together. But from the moment he debuted, we've always taken notice that, hey, Tyler King is running up in the top 10 again. He's up in the top 5 here late.
And we got a crash.
Able to put it together.
Rick Heffley has crashed again under caution. It's a delayed green, and he's got a gear issue or something, because he had a money shift for the 2nd time in 5 laps that spun him to the grass.
See if maybe we have a replay of what happened there with the number 62 swag replay. See him just catching up to the field. It's BJ Tidrick in front of him. Going down in turn number 1 here. This is under caution, remember.
Yep, right here, he starts shifting down, hits the rev limiter, bye-bye car.
May have tried to downshift 1 gear and accidentally gone 2. So I don't know what happened there, but if I had to hazard a guess, that's what I would say. But we're going to have to stay under caution here. That does not count towards caution count, Aunt Kathy, but We are still under caution here for the first time tonight. We're going to see if we go green this time as the lights are off on the pace car. We're going to try it again.
This is a quick yellow track. Remember, the larger tracks, such as Michigan, Auto Club, as well as the super speedways, are all classified as short yellow periods. Just 2 total caution laps. 1 to allow drivers to pit. The next lap gets the 1 to go signal, meaning you say you lose your lap tonight, it's going to be tough sledding because you're going to have to, if you've got damage, repair all of it, take your 4 tires and fuel, and catch up to the back of the field in the span of about, say, 40 seconds. So it can be tricky here tonight for those drivers in that respect. But for Tyler King, he's your leader. Casey Garber, Joshua Marcy, James Vining, your top 4. In row 3 is Fraser Stabnow. Row 4, Paulus and Grande. The Wests are still in row 5 for this upcoming restart. Your biggest movers after a chaotic first lap: Jeffrey Hagan up to 12 plus 12, Dennis Moore plus 10. Curious if that happens again here, Greg.
We'll see for sure. The other driver in that little 3-car tandem now with Tyler King, Dennis Moore, the third car, Stephen O'Hare, he's up 8 positions, 21st to 13th in that first span. So that team, it was O'Hare and King. Dennis Moore joined it a couple weeks ago. Now with a 3-car operation, they're all doing pretty good here in the early stages. Here we go. We're going to try this again.
Pace car is off, this time fielding control of Kane. And a big-time jump and a missed shift again. Contact as Marcy doesn't get going. Seth Frazier hit the back end of him for the massive check.
And the big gainer out of that is T. Garber, because that allows him to tuck in behind Tyler King. James Vining and Jeff Stabnow coming with him. Stabnow looking to the outside of Vining for third. As they battle, they make it through turns 1 and 2. Vining to the inside of Garber.
And Stabnow tries to go up to the high side, trying to get the pull. He's surprisingly back in the Chevy tonight, Stabnow is. But this track, as we mentioned, can eat up tires, and that time, with the squeeze, moves Stabnow up to third. Here comes that pull we talked about with the back and forth.
Oh, problems. Josh Marcy going through the grass, caught the wall off of turn number 4. Nice save by Marcy, but that's going to cost him, and he's going to drop all the way to the back here.
No caution as the battle for the lead side by side. Garber tried to take the lead. Kane with the squeeze. Garber now to the bottom side. Here comes Stabnow in the Chevy this time, with Vining back with the momentum.
Stabnow, remember, drove the Chevy the first part of the season. When the Ford F-150 came out, he made the switch over to Ford so he could run both Fords in the series. That was why he ran the Chevy here in the Cup Series, because they didn't have the Ford truck, so he ran the Chevy until they came out, this latest build. Back in the Chevy tonight, but Tyler King and the Ford leading the way right now. But a nice battle going on here for third between Garber, Vining, and Frazier joining the mix.
And this could be tricky for Garber, especially because, yes, you want to be on the bottom for the tire wear, but again, there's more momentum you can gain down the back straightaway. Even though you only get about to 183, 84 miles an hour, it's still important to get that momentum with this package, Greg, at this track.
Yeah, this is such a momentum track, like you just mentioned. If you get out of the throttle for just a moment and you lose touch, it takes you so much time to build it back up. We're seeing that right now with Garber as he is falling down. We'll see where he registers at the line now. Crosses the line 7th in the number 94, trying to hang on right now. He's got Taco Bell to his outside, Roy Grande in the 18, Stephen Paulson back there, Devin Smith, the In-N-Out Burger car, looking for a double-double with cheese for the win here tonight in the 00. Stephen O'Hare looking at his inside. Then you find Brett Johnson, who's made limited starts this season. He ran the full first half, but second half of the season, haven't seen him a whole lot.
Indeed. Grande among the drivers starting to drop back, and you start to see right up there a little bit of a push now from the West drivers right in front of Garber. Tire wear starting to kick in as we discussed, as now they're fighting side by side for P3. Seth Frazier's gained momentum back after losing time off the jump. Devin West looking to get the draft off of him down the back.
Remember, Devin West, 3 wins on the Truck Series now.
Oh, contact! Dan West Jr. hits the back end of Vining. Big save as he keeps it straight, no caution.
Nice job by both drivers there to keep it together, Dan West Jr. and James Vining. Remember, James Vining is looking for a bounce back. He led early, like we touched on at Kentucky last week, Justin. Unfortunately, it was a penalty on a restart that wound up costing him. One driver having connection issues in the back. That's Kevin Smith in the 00, blinking a little bit, keeping it going right now. But going back to Vining, led early in the 333. But we'll see if he can get the bounce back, as here we go, bout for the lead, Stabnow and King.
And Stabnow trying to get that bottom to work, but again, King able to get the squeeze in the American touch-up machine. And so far, he's been painting a very pretty race. Seth Frazier now battles for second right behind with a good momentum. He can't get clear either, and this is, again, what we talked about. It's so difficult to break away at this track, especially with the amount of momentum. But when the tires are fresh, it's like a pendulum swing almost. You go back and forth for positions and trade spots with whoever gets the most momentum. Now 3 wide for the lead. Stabnow up the middle, takes it.
Did you see the move by Stabnow? Right up in the tire tracks of Tyler King. Had just enough room to go between him and Frazier. Did just that. And Devin West thought about doing the same thing there, but backed out of it. He's going to follow the Tyler King method instead. And look at the push he gives him down the backstretch. He gets the 44 back in front of Stabnow before setting up a move of his own in the 5 car.
Yes, indeed. And Stabnow starting to get a little bit of speed.
Oh, Vining in the wall.
Yes, indeed. A couple other drivers with trouble losing spots. Brett Johnson, Carl Burke lost several positions, but the lead still shuffling a bond. Here comes Devin West now with a push. He looks to try making your 3 wide. Can't do so as Garber's now back in the fight.
Casey Garber coming back up. Remember, Devin West, 3 truck wins like we were talking about before the excitement started. Has not won in the Cup Series yet. It's been so close so many times, but has not gotten that breakthrough win yet. Looking for that first win. He's in the same boat as Tyler King. Strong runs, just hasn't been able to seal the deal. Both drivers looking very good here in the early stages.
But the question's going to be, how will the cars drive once those right fronts start to wear? That's going to be the big question with how much drivers are pushing here.
Let's see how it goes. King gets back to the lead in the number 44. And Justin, you got to wonder, like you talked about just a moment ago there with the right front tires, are these guys saving it at all? Because it sure looks like they're going all out right now on lap 15 of 100.
Well, you have to take the run somewhere, right? It's either you can send it to the back bumper or somebody, or you can try and make the move. What we've seen, I think, Greg, I don't know what your opinion is, they've been willing to send it with the runs they've been getting.
And I was expecting a lot like this in pre-race. I was expecting a race just the way this is unfolding. And Justin, I don't know what it is, but once this car, this Gen 6 car, came to NASCAR back in 2013, since then, Auto Club has been one of the best races of the year. I don't know what it is, but this car at this track, doesn't matter which aero package we're using, this car, this track combination, always one of the best of the year.
Well, remember, this surface has not been repaved in this track's history all the way from 1997 when this facility opened. Is how old this pavement is. The cracks, remember, described this year, in fact, being as wide as 3 feet with some of those seams filled in. That can really shuffle out some of the cars as Devin West nearly shuffles to the wall, and that's the tightness now starting to come in.
Devin West in the 5, stuck on the outside right now of Tyler King. That's the good news about when that push starts to kick in, is you're on the outside. You don't have a car on top of you to worry about. You just kind of chase it up and worry about keeping it off the wall, and Devin West was able to do so as Casey Garber comes back to the inside in the number 94. Look at John Ottenbacher in the number 89 at the tail end of this field. The green LSR TV Camaro, he is up 10 spots from 20th to 10th. Stephen O'Hare in front of him in the number 41 has gotten around Stephen Paulson. He started 21st. He's up to 8th now, battling with West Jr.
A bit of tempers, by the way, in the second pack that you may have taken a quick glance at. The 00 apparently tapped somebody. There was tempers flaring. There was Roy Grande who got shuffled out down the backstretch. Now they are 2 to 3 wide in this group. This is among the drivers who have taken tires, remember. The only other driver who is not in this pack who took tires under the last caution is John Ottenbacher, who's up to P8. Again, they're 2 wide down the back.
Still battling it out. This is incredible racing here tonight. Justin, Stabnow continues to lead. Seth Frazier, Casey Garber battling for fourth right now. West Jr. Nice recovery after the big slide earlier in this one. He is trying to get up and hang on to the top five. We're talking about Garber doing a great job right now in the 94.
Take a look for the back end as King couldn't get to the outside line. Starting to go away is that grip up at the top that worked earlier. Bit of a crossover though. Here comes King now looking for the race lead. Lex not the side draft as he takes the bottom line. Now curious to see if Stabnow can stick it off of turn 4. Forced up to the top as King backs off the gas.
Back in the Chevy tonight in that number 24, leading the way. King on his inside. Look at Devin West getting right up on the bumper of his Team LSR TV teammate. As Stephen O'Hare coming up as well in the Peels Oranges, number 41. He has 2 wins in the Truck Series. He's still looking for his first Cup win of the season as well, and that number 41.
Here comes John Ottenbacher as well. We talked about him on the fresher tires. He pit after the first caution of the race. He is one of the fastest cars on the racetrack. The amount of fall off already nearly 2 seconds in the span of 20 laps, and that includes that caution period.
Yeah, we'll see how these tires really begin to affect here in about 5 laps or so. When do you think these drivers are going to come to pit road if they're going for the two-stop strategy?
Longest I've seen Greg without fuel save up to about 48. The ballpark has been around 40 for some of the 2 stops. May see even drivers potentially split at 33-33. Wesley, I would like to hear your take on this. What do you feel the strategy is going to be? Because we are slowly approaching that window with the way this is shaping out to be.
I think within the next 15 laps or so, around lap 35, 40, they're going to start making their way onto the pit lane for green flag pit stops. Of course, we had those drivers that were amongst the top 15 on back that were involved in that accident on the front straightaway come in for service and repairs, but not anybody else in the top 15. And Stabnow walking away with this thing so far over King and O'Hare. A lot of good contenders within the next 15 laps. Unless we get a caution, a swag yellow flag that is, we should have green flag pit stops.
You can see now the last pit stops on screen. You can see a majority of your top runners have not pit. The only one inside this lead pack is John Ottenbacher. Then in the second pack, there's Bruce Weaver and Chris White, who pit for respective damage repair or quick repairs and after the first caution of the race. The interesting thing, though, is it's starting to now break up some of the tire wear. Tyra King losing time. O'Hare starting to make a charge, and Garber's now into the grass. Garber with the snap. He tries to keep it off the inside wall as he brings up a lot of dirt.
Nice job by Casey Garber to get that thing off of everything, but he's going for a big ride. He is a lawnmower right now in number 94. Finally settles it down, but all that track position gone for Garber.
All the way back to 25th. One of the last cars on the lead lap, in fact, as a result, right behind Heffley. That means now in the lead pack, separated by about 1.8 seconds, are 9 cars. Bruce Weaver and the rest of the group, though, is slowly closing in. If you look at the interval, it's approaching where they're inside the draft, in part because drivers like Ottenbacher are now fighting for second.
Yeah, John Ottenbacher qualified 20th, and he is battling for second right now. Has the spot from Stephen O'Hare. He's going for the lead in the number 89 car. Remember, last week at Kentucky, or actually that was 2 weeks ago at Chicago, he was up in the top 5 late. Here we are coming up to wrap up the first quarter of this race. He has gone up 18 positions. Stephen O'Hare has as well.
Ottenbacher, your second best driver on points, who has not won a race when you factor in the drops this season. 7th overall in the top 18 and drop sorts on the season. Lots of strong points runs as well throughout the campaign. Yet to find his way to victory lane, and now building up the run on his LSR TV teammate. The last driver in now the lead pack, by the way, is now Frazier. Vining has started dropping back several positions and is now falling out of the lead group as they're now pulled back another second on those cars we referred to.
Remember, Vining caught the wall about 10 laps ago in the Triple Three. The Catman was running up in the top 5. There you see him, the black and teal, I guess, Triple Three on screen right now. He was up at the top 5, caught the wall early in this green flag run, and has been slowly fading. Meanwhile, up in front of him, pole sitter Chris White driving the Jimmie Johnson tribute tonight in the number 83. He is trying to work his way back up after his incident at the start of the race. He has climbed his way back to 13th, trying to get around Dennis Moore and company right now.
Trying to get the draft as well, just can't pull it in as you take a look at the driver in the cockpit. He's been good in the corners here, it seems, Greg, after the repairs, but again, it seems once you get to the straightaways, it's like a parachute. For the race lead, though, Ottenbacher looking to get to the point and does down the backstretch. O'Hare with the push right behind to help him.
Remember, 89 started 20th. 41 started 21st, and here they are. John Ottenbacher in the 89 just took the lead, and O'Hare is running in a battle for second right now with Jeff Stabnow, but Ottenbacher leading here at Auto Club, and it took him just 27 laps, Justin, to go from 20th to 1st.
That's big for him. By the way, pit stops. Roy Grande, Eric Cheney electing to take stops here a little earlier than I think we thought here, Wesley.
Yeah, Grande coming in as well as Cheney, and I don't know if Hagan also, I don't know if there's some type of strategy that they're working on that we don't know that these other guys are doing, as we still see pit exit now for Hagan's car number 27. Gonna keep an eye on that, but I still believe as we now have John Ottenbacher in the lead, I still believe around lap 40-45, I think we're gonna see the front runners, the guys at the front of the pack start to come into the pit lane. I'm gonna try to see if there's any type of strategy in what they were doing. But again, these guys are already mired in the back, so maybe there was a strategy, or maybe trying to pit to get their lap back amongst when all the other front leaders do pit.
Should note Carl Burke also elected to pit. Thank you very much, Leslie. We'll let you get to that as he pit from the back of the field. So, some interesting calls here as these leaders have reeled in Hagan as he's trying to get up to speed. Now remember, the amount of fall off already now up to more than 2 seconds for much of the field. This is going to get interesting as Seth Frazier has elected to now come down and pit.
That's a big one, Wesley, or Justin, because Frazier was up in the top 5. He's the one who kind of calls the bluff here, these guys up at the front. He's the first one out of the front to pit here. So now here's the question. Does anybody blink? We were talking about it a few laps ago. 30 was doable. 33 was a bit of a stretch, but this is inside lap 30. I'm kind of surprised to see these guys coming in already.
The main thing to think about here at this point is, do you think they're trying to go for the undercut to try and get the gap because it's going to be a large one? Yes. But eventually that tire fall off is going to fall back as Stabnow falls back to P3 again.
Well, I'll ask you the same question I asked you last week, Justin, when we saw this happen at Kentucky, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago at Chicago. With that undercut strategy, when do the tires plateau here, and when does that tire wear even out?
From experience, 20 laps-ish. Here's the concern. I've seen, Greg, many times, those cars with the undercut get reeled in right before those tires can equalize.
So that's the big concern and the risk you take here. No doubt someone who's going to not hesitate about taking a strategy, especially since he's already had to use a fast repair, is, of course, last week's winner, Sean Brightsman, has one car on pit road there. Didn't catch a number of who that
Tidrick
was. That
and
was
Carpenter is now crashing.
Look at Carpenter. Oh.
And his debut, bit of a struggle towards the mid-pack. Now sees him crash into the tires. Not how he wanted his Cup debut to be tonight, Greg.
And Brad Carpenter was having a nice quiet run in the number 31. Remember, Northwest Tour driver, Northwest Tour winner. That series, of course, coming here to LSR TV in the winter. Carpenter was a winner there. Now has to use the fast repair in his Cup Series debut.
That's going to lose him tons of time as well with the way that pit entrance went. Among the drivers who are starting to gain some time as regardless cycle, Chris White now up to 8th, Lee Weaver up to 9th, Johnson also now inside the top 10 for now. These cars all scrapping. This is about 3 seconds back to your race leader and closing in slowly to Dennis Moore with the draft.
Want to talk about this red and black number 40 car you see on screen right now for just a quick second? Bruce Lee Weaver. Remember, Justin, he was the Michigan winner, the sister track to this facility here, Auto Club Speedway. Michigan winner was Bruce Lee Weaver on fuel mileage. Stole the upset victory after making, what was it, a 70-lap run at Michigan on fuel. A long green flag run. It was a ridiculous number that he made work and was able to cash in on the pit stop and made it work. Bruce Lee Weaver got the win at Michigan on strategy, so no doubt he had to be feeling confident coming here to Auto Club. By the way, he started 24th. He's up to 8th.
And he needs to gain a lot of points. That's the main thing, because he's 17th. Once you sort the points, you have to be in the top 16 for eligibility for the postseason, remember. Needs to close up a gap his maximum amount of points as well when you factor that in. 12 less potential than Daryl Tidrick at the moment. By the way, here's Dennis Moore. We mentioned him starting to drop back. Dan West Jr. is also in this grouping. This is also where drivers like Tyler King have now fallen off as the field separated out at the front.
King, the early leader, back in 5th right now. Going back to your point about the points, notice who's not here tonight, Justin. Another driver who was on a tear trying to get up there. Caden Anderson, not in the field tonight in the number 37. That is going to be a huge blow to his playoff points.
And we talked about it, Greg, for the past couple weeks. He needed to start every single race to make the postseason.
I think that should eliminate him from contention now in that number 37, the Las Vegas winner. Not making the field could and should eliminate him from this, but we got some action on pit road.
Yes, indeed. And Wesley, lots of cars coming in around that number you mentioned.
Yeah, had a feeling it was going to be around that time. Sean Brightsman still out there battling along with Bozer, but here comes Stab now. Dan West, Johnson, Frank Harris, Lowther, Gamble, all these drivers. Carpenter on back again with damage wrecking on the pit lane. He goes in. 24 overshoots his pit stall, has to back up. Penalty coming up possibly on Stab now as he still backs up, goes in reverse, goes in forward, finally gets to his pit box. He loses a numerous amount of time as now Devin West comes off a pit lane. Here comes more cars onto the midsection of pit road, including Stephen O'Hare. Here comes more. Tyler King, Heffley, all of these drivers coming in. It's going to be 4 tires, fuel, service being done, other cars pulling out, but a big upset for Jeff Stab now. He's got to try to shake off the pieces as right now he's a lap down in 26th.
And a lot of drivers having some miscues here. King overrunning his pit box, struggling to get in the stall. O'Hare also overran his pit box. This is one of the most difficult pit lanes in the series, Greg, because it's so easy to overrun it. As now, the 333 with the problem is Ottenbacher's in, yes, pardon me.
And Ottenbacher almost missed the pit entry there, Justin. He was a little bit to the cone. See Chris White coming down as well. Wesley, this is your race leader on pit road.
Yep, the leader coming in, and now this is going to cycle back around and give Tidrick the number 1 position as he's looking for that new win. As now here comes the qualifier, the fast man, Chris White. Problems on the original start. He'll go to pit stall 1 and perfectly go to his pit stall. They'll run to the right side. They're going to tear off those tear-offs on the front of the windshield, add 2 cans of Sunoco fuel. Now the right side is on. Now the left side going to put the tires on. 4 new Mr. Feel Goods, as Mr. Charles Wooten always says, and he's back down and away. Other cars in the pit lane, including White, are also coming in for service, and we continue these green flag cycle of pit stops that around this time, continuing on. And obviously, Justin and Greg, green flag pit stops are so different than under caution, especially when you've got to hit your marks right. And I emphasize that going back on the mistake of veteran driver Jeff Stab now. That hurt him. He was the class of the field and come down, made a mistake, overshot pit stall, then he overshot his pit stall again, had to go forward, had to go reverse, and it literally cost him numerous positions on the racetrack and even going a lap down in the process.
Indeed. By the way, couple updates. Vining crashed into the wall into the outside fence trying to aim it down to the pit lane. He's now coming for service. He's now deep in the field as a result after his service. Stefan O'Hare becomes your first driver booked for speeding off the pit lane of the night. And for about the past month, he had to come down for a second stop. He's now pinned a lap down. Everyone else able to get in and out of the pit safely with no speeding penalties. And one of the points mentioned by Wesley is it's more costly if you make a mistake under green. Remember, if you speed on entry, it's a 40-second stop and hold. No drivers booked for that yet tonight, Greg.
Yeah, definitely, Justin. And I'm honestly surprised that those are the only penalties we've seen here. We still have a couple of drivers yet to make the pit stop here, as I believe Tidrick, Weaver, Paulison, and others have yet to pit in their rides. Remember, they pitted under that first caution to take the fast repair after the incident, so it can go a little bit longer. One of those drivers included Sean Brightsman in the number 46. And Justin, I'm looking, he has already used the fast repair, and Justin, that 46 car has some left front damage.
That's not going to be good for him indeed. For Sean Brightsman, we mentioned the chance of pushing up in the wall. That's going to hurt him. Taking a look, meanwhile, at Lee Weaver as he tries to get some valuable points as well. He's still among the drivers staying out with Tidrick. Remember, Tidrick and Weaver did pit, but Paulison, Smith stayed on the last caution, so did Marcy. Brightsman had pit and then came down again to repair additional damage. Ricky Bozier also fixed damage under the caution period. Your net race leader is Seth Frazier, though. We talked about the undercut. He is 0.6 of a second slower than the cars behind him, but he's got an 8-second gap, Greg.
So that's where that undercut is the advantage with that gap. But going back to it, the problem is 0.6 of a second slower. That gap's going to be gone pretty quick. For reference, he is 24 seconds behind race leader BJ Tidrick in the number 72, who's staying out. For reference, Tidrick's last lap time, a 42.591. As Frazier crosses the strike this time, we'll see what his lap time is. 41.734, almost 0.8 of a second between Frazier's lap time and Tidrick's lap time.
Indeed. Approaching halfway quickly in this race, 59 laps to go, coming to 58 this upcoming time by. And now becomes the question, how will some of these drivers balance things out? Dan Lowther with a problem in turn 1 and 2. The 63's in the grass.
Low in the grass in the number 63. Second time tonight we've seen that in the number 63. Not sure what happened. That second place Bruce Weaver going Michigan winner. Dan Lowther still looking for that first cup victory, actually first series victory in the number 63.
Did have contact from Chris White entering the corner. Wonder if we can try and take a glance towards that if we can, because that was a big amount of contact. Here's the swag replay, and he was trying to make it 3 wide, trying to get a good run. Got the run indeed, but right about here is where Chris White starts to push up towards the entry.
Let's see, they're 3 wide. That's Lowther in the middle. Daryl Tidrick up high right there. Chris White, oh, he may have been trying to side draft with him there, Justin, and just a little bit too much. Brett Johnson catching a piece of that as well. And did you see who was back there right behind him? Dan West Jr. I think West Jr. got lucky not to catch a piece of that.
I think so too, absolutely. Lowther, as a result, now back in 24th position. He's now 47 seconds behind your current race leader in BJ Tidrick, who has a 2-second gap right now, closing in to unlap himself with the lap ties for the cars who have not yet pit. In the 43-second to 42.6s, Tidrick is actually the fastest out of those drivers not yet to pit. But I'm curious, if he can stretch it here, that could be huge, because one less pit stop on a green is a lot of time that people would have to close in on the track.
That was what won Bruce Lee Weaver the race at Michigan. And Tidrick, the Darlington winner, he won that because of pit stops late in the race. So both of your top 2 right now wins this season on some different pit strategies. So these guys know how to do that. So I'm curious to see if they can catch a caution or not.
Remember, he didn't qualify. You know what, Greg? That might have been a genius move, because the pit stop selection, stall selection rather, is set by the qualifying order. If he runs out of fuel coming down the pit lane, he can basically coast into a stall now.
Tidrick is a strategist, Justin. He is one of the smartest guys in the Northwest when it comes to racing strategy. So I wouldn't put it past him to think about that exactly. Tidrick knows what he's doing when it comes to these races.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at some of the Eric battles starting to form up. This is right behind King. Frank Harris, Jeff Stabnell, Casey Garber among the drivers, trying to gain positions on the recovery drive. Remember, Stabnell with a pit road mistake, King with a pit road mistake, and Garber went through the grass. So 3 drivers looking to gain a lot of time. They're currently in the net top 10, by the way.
Currently being scored 15th, 17th, and 18th in this one. Brett Johnson and Frank Harris also in this mix as well. That's them behind them now, as Garber has gotten around both of them as they battle it out. Dan West Jr. up in front of them in the 55. He sits 14th right now. Truck Series points leader. He picked up his 7th truck win of the season on Thursday night. I believe he has 2 Cup wins this season, if my math is correct. It's been a minute since I double-checked on West Jr.'s Cup wins, but I believe it's 2. He's battling with Chris White and Stephen O'Hare right now. O'Hare in the 41 is actually not being scored on that same lap. O'Hare is a lap down after serving the penalty. Chris White, who's having the connection issues in the 83, is for position for West Jr.
Taking a look as well, here's Joshua Marcy amongst the drivers, fighting for position, but also staying on the track. And keep in mind, it's 2 different tales of closeness for Marcy compared to Bozier. Bozier, 44 laps, including the caution laps, now in the tank, and that delayed green may have helped them a little bit to make it to lap 50. Marcy, going to be very tight here. Coming up to 52 to go this time for it to work on a 1-stop. Needing to stretch it maybe a couple more laps, and then you got to save a lot more fuel on top of that. As Seth Frazier's coming again.
Remember, this is the 2nd stop for Frazier in the number 32. Justin, he did around lap 25. Now he's been around lap 50. Is Frazier thinking 3-stop strategy for this evening?
Not sure, but Wesley, a strange call here from Frazier.
Yeah, this is very abnormal for Seth Frazier to come down to the pit lane as we are just past halfway next time by. Still 50 laps to go. I'll have to find out what the story is, as we also have Cheney on pit lane. Also, he's coming in. Remember the story about Eddie Cheney. He wasn't even going to run this race tonight. He was just going to make some laps. I think he accidentally qualified, and then they said, hey, guess what? You can run. Then he decided to run the race with a penalty for qualifying too early during the drivers' meeting at the tail end of the field. But right now, he sits in the top 25 or top 30, only 1 lap down. Get a caution, take a wave around, he's back in business. But again, for Frazier to pit, very abnormally, I'll have to find out the story. And here comes Bruce Lee Weaver on the pit lane as well in car number 40, giving up 3rd place.
And this is lap 50 at the halfway mark. Tidrick, along with Paulison and Brightsman and Smith, have all also reached that mark. Bozier and Marcy have also reached that mark. And the gap is still only about a second between Marcy and Devin West. Weaver with an interesting hit angle here to get into the stall, but they could potentially make it on the 1-stop now if it stays green, Greg.
So definitely they've made their bed now. Has Weaver, Tidrick, Paulson, and others. Tidrick's still out there. He's getting as many laps as he can. We'll see if the rest of them come down. Seth Frazier in the 32, I was watching him on pit road. He had to use a fast repair. He pancaked the wall in the number 32. Don't know when, but he had a lot of right side damage. That's why he came down, and it just happened to fall in with that lap 50 thing. So he figured, well, I'm on pit road, might as well take 4 tires. So now Frazier might be setting up for a 3-stop run to have the fresher tires at the end of the race.
Joshua Marcy now into the pit lane, Wesley.
Marcy had a scare earlier in the first half of the race, and now his team coming to pit stall. Number 35, ready to go, dropping down. They're going to take on 4 tires and fuel. Very abnormal. We got a wreck on pit lane, guys. Couple of cars have wrecked. That's Carpenter. He's now went to the back into his pit stall. So Carpenter wrecks entering pit lane. Obviously, he's going to lose a lot of time. Weaver is on the pit exit. Here comes also Stephen Paulison and Bozier. All of these drivers coming to the pits. I'm trying to figure out the strategy. I'm wondering if they pitted early to try to avoid making a pit. For this being their, if you want to call it, Justin, money stop early to take it to the finish.
And believe so, as Brightsman has just indicated on the radio, he's pitting this time. Tidrick is stretched in another lap. Keep in mind, again, some of these cars have stretched it 49 to 51 laps. That is a lot of fuel they've been able to save, and this could pay dividends if this continues to stay green. There goes Brightsman bringing Kevin Smith. The only driver not yet to pit is still BJ Tidrick from the race lead with a 17-second gap over Ottenbacher.
So Ottenbacher, the net race leader right now, he just passed Dennis Moore for that spot not too long ago. West right there in the number 5 there as well. Tidrick, the only driver left, like you mentioned, Justin, to not pit. Brad Carpenter behind the wall, done for the night after not 1 but 2 incidents on pit road entry. Not the Cup Series debut that Carpenter wanted, but Tidrick, I'm curious, how long can he go? Is he going to drain this thing to when he is out of fuel?
Hey guys, just got an update from the pits. Stab now says he's going to pit within the next 10 to 15 laps, but for everybody else on Team LSR, they're going to be pitting very, very soon, and the reason why, Justin, is to fill the tanks, put on fresh tires, don't get a caution, take this race to the finish.
Thank you, Wesley. As BJ Tidrick is stretched into 52 laps, he's now in. Right in front of him is Rick Heffley. So he now sacrifices the lead, but here's the thing. Wesley, this is something that's worked in the Coke Series before specifically. Remember Ray Alfalla at Auto Club had clutched and coasted for about 10-15 laps that race to make it on a one-stop. Then a caution flag waved out the strategy. This is the type of call Tidrick's making here tonight, Wesley.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I mean, all of these drivers, for the most part, are doing what they need to do. They're literally saying, hey, we're going to gamble. We're thinking that this race is, for the most part, being a quiet race, if you will. The one caution flag at the beginning of things. And since then, things have mellowed out. We're on about an almost 50-lap green flag run after the last caution at the beginning of this thing on lap 1. And for the most part, people are thinking that this race will not get any more cautions. Not saying that they're jinxing themselves, but for the most part, this is definitely a completely different race than what we saw earlier tonight for the Monday Night Cup Series with the 22 caution wreckfest at Martinsville. A lot of swag esports caution flags. Tonight's swag replays have only been 1 or 2. So again, a lot of these drivers gambling, thinking that, we're not going to see another yellow flag. We're going to see this race go to the end, and we'll see what happens.
By the way, to answer the question that was asked earlier, is there a full moon? Sim date is no.
No,
but,
there's not.
Yes. But in real life, the full moon actually is supposed to come out tomorrow, according to the Farmer's Almanac. So we've seen that come into play maybe a little bit. By the way, your top 3 covered by just a couple tenths of a second. Ottenbacher, Moore, and West, Greg.
But Devin West in the 5 suddenly has had issues develop. Something may be going sour on the 5 because he is losing a lot of time now to Ottenbacher and Moore. Something happened with the 5 car as they were trying to slice through. He hit the wall in that number 5. And on a track like this, that's going to cause a lot of problems with this aero-sensitive package.
We've mentioned damages like a parachute. That's even bigger of a case on the 2 miles on the surface especially. Remember, drivers, especially when this package came out, where you get even a little bit of damage, it was hard to suck up. That might be the case for those drivers now as we take a look at some of the drivers looking to fight inside the top 10. Kane, Harris, and Vining. Harris, one of his best runs of the season.
Yeah, great run for Frank Harris in the number 11. We've seen him have some good runs on the truck side, but on the Cup side, been pretty quiet, but a nice run in the top 10 right now. Started 15th. He's up 8 positions. Got around Tyler King, who led much of the early stages of this race into number 44 before his pit road problem. He's climbed back into the top 10 after all of that. Look who's up in 6th now. Justin, in a battle with Jeff Stabnow for that position, but Casey Garber has climbed back into 6th after his slide through the grass earlier.
Well, you mentioned that Stabnow just took the spot, by the way, as Harris also took the spot on Tyler King. Here's Dan West Jr. now in 4th position. Meanwhile, look who's in 5th. Chris White has gained some spots back. The biggest movers of the race just so happen to be your front 2, by the way. Audenbacher plus 19, as you see on your screen. Dennis Moore, by the way, in his first start of the season, Greg, is plus 24.
We've seen him in the Truck Series a couple of times, but not in the Cup Series yet. This is his debut in the Cup Series, and he is teammates now, remember, with Stephen O'Hare and Tyler King joining that operation. Now a 3-car operation, working together, and it seems to be paying off. Dennis Moore, in his few starts in the Truck Series, the Truck Series, has run good. He's been up in a consistent top 5 and got a podium earlier this season. Haven't seen him in the Cup Series. Nice run for him in 2nd, as Eric Cheney has put it behind the wall.
That's your second DNF of the race. The air Brad Carpenter as looking on as this is for the lead. Moore, big run with the draft. Audenbacher not giving up easily, though, on the middle line. The 34 rides against the bottom line. Audenbacher now with the tire wear pushes up the track. Here comes the momentum back up towards the front as at the stripe this time. It's Moore, no Audenbacher. No dead even just about for the lead lap either way. Still, though, Moore not giving this up.
I'm curious what the difference on pit stops was. See if we can get a look at when these drivers were last on pit road. These top 2 up here. We'll see if we can get the last pit stop graphic up. There it is. And there it is. We'll see what it is. Looks like they pitted. Looks like Moore pitted 1 lap before Audenbacher.
And Audenbacher nearly hits the back and a Moore actually on the entry to turn 3. And an apology over the radio as Moore had a big checkup. John Audenbacher immediately forgives him for said checkup. 38 laps to go this time by. They've now pulled almost 2 seconds on Devin West after his contact. Dan West Jr., Chris White, your top 5. Then about 12 seconds back of this is Jeff Stabnow and Casey Garber. Frank Harris, James Vining, Tyler King also starting to be covered by a blanket. All of them separated by under a full second rather apiece. While the other drivers to keep an eye on, Johnson, Tidrick, Lowther in 11th, 12th, and 13th. Keep in mind, Tidrick was the furthest driver to stretch it on the fuel. He's still plus 15 from the starting spot, but the main thing is he doesn't have to pit for the rest of the race, likely.
And right now, he's on the freshest tires on the racetrack, so that is a huge, huge benefit to being able to go on 1 stop. Dennis Moore leading the way right now. Audenbacher in 2nd. Moore Cup Series debut here tonight, leading in his debut. Not too often you get to see a driver leading in a series debut like this, and Dennis Moore doing a fantastic job right now in the number 34. But Audenbacher not going away, and the last couple weeks, John Audenbacher has really been strong, Justin.
Leslie, you mentioned coming in very shortly, those LSR TV cars. Here comes Stabnow.
Yeah, Stabnow said that he needed to definitely try to knock off some laps to try to work on some handling and figure his car out and try to make some changes and adjustments. Obviously, first things first, no mistake on pit lane this time for the driver of car number 24, the Montana native and the Waltz Beard Co-entry LSR TV Ford. 4 tires, fuel, fill up the tanks, squeals tires, keeps at his pit road speed, and he's back on the racetrack ready to bring this race to the checkered flag as there's still 35 laps to go. Here come other cars on the pit lane, and it includes Dan West Jr. Here comes also Lowther, Dan Lowther. Tidrick is exiting, or still on the racetrack, I'm sorry. Also Chris White, Tyler King, all of these drivers coming in for service and ready for their money stop on the pit lane as well. Here comes Moore onto the pits. Here comes Moore. Here comes Devin West. These are the drivers we were just talking to you about of Team LSR. Correction, with the exception of Moore, all of them in the front coming in. This is the money stop, if you will. They could have went a lot further, Greg and Justin, but they are taking advantage of it now to take this to the checkered flag. As here comes Moore onto the pit lane, including Garber, Vining, Paulison, Harris, all of these drivers coming in, ready to get the fill up the tanks and take on 4 new sides of rubber to bring this to the checkered flag, because a lot of people think this race will go to the checker without a yellow flag.
And who does that move to the lead, Justin? B.J. Tidrick back to the lead in the 72. We know he's good the rest of the way. Question is, will he have a big enough gap?
Currently his lead over Bruce Lee Weaver, who also stretched it, but for 5 less laps, is 6.6 seconds. Paulison, amongst those stretching it, Lowther still expected to pit. Brightsman stretching it. Marcy stretching it. Seth Frazier went for the undercut as well a few laps ago after trying to get damage repaired and put him further back in the field. So this is going to get intriguing. He's coming to 33 laps to go. By the way, update on the status for Eric Cheney. Quote, no pit stops for me, just a boring race. I fall asleep during these big tracks. In turn, that's the reason Cheney is done for the night. He was running inside the top 20 for parts of the night, as here is Frazier, in fact, trying to reel in Marcy and dealing with Daryl Tidrick. Keep in mind, Tidrick on still older tires.
Tidrick, younger brother of BJ in the number 45. Great qualifying run for him. He qualified third in his number 45 Ford Mustang. And Justin, he had a top 5 in the truck race at Kentucky on Thursday. So Daryl Tidrick having a good couple of runs in this series. The younger brother, of course, of BJ Tidrick. That's him in the 45. We don't get to talk about Daryl a whole lot, as BJ kind of has stolen the spotlight as far as the family goes on this series with his Darlington win, but Daryl's come alive lately. There's second place Weaver in the number 40, 7 seconds back, and that gap is continuing to grow as BJ's on 5 lap fresher tires than he is.
See, Paulison also getting shuffled out. And among these drivers, remember, some of your drivers who have pit. Crazy to see Garber back there has lost a lot of time in the pit stop sequence. He's now 23rd right now for the moment, gaining a spot at Gambo as he's dunked into the pit lane. The gap, though, to think about is between Tidrick and Devin West. It's 27 seconds. Coming to 31 laps to go. Remember that mark as this race progresses, as the battle for second continues. These two, along with Brightsman, have lost 2 seconds now, just about, to Tidrick on the fresher tires, near contact for second.
So that battle continues between Weaver and Paulison. Brightsman there as well. Brightsman has done a fantastic job with that damage in the 46 car to hang on to it, as he's going to go 3 wide. We're 3 wide for second as Brightsman tries to get the outside lane to work.
And Brightsman now trying to rim ride towards the wall. Weaver elects to back off. Paulison shuffles his way up to second in this intense fight. Again, this is now losing him more time, though. This lost him another second with all the side drafting as Brightsman now tries to shuffle to the bottom side of the racetrack, still looking to scrap. Can he get clear into turn 3? Yes, indeed he does. Coming to 30 laps to go in this race. BJ Tidrick, your race leader. 30 to go from Auto Club Speedway. Take you side by side. You're watching Northwest Cup Series action. Come listen to the thing here from California.
We're based out of West Monroe, Louisiana. We do custom T-shirts, racing. We'll do any shirt. We'll do schools, churches, fundraisers. We do a ton of event shirts, as you can see on our board here, all around our banner. Personalized. I mean, we'll do anything. It doesn't matter to us. We got the custom rugs. We use all the, top quality shirts, inks and everything. Hoodies, hats. We do embroidered hats, embroidered shirts. Just you can call us for anything. We do offer the bag and fold, to where we, you can receive them and they're already labeled and tagged and bagged, ready to give out to your customer and stuff. So you just call us and just tell us, hey, this is what we're looking at doing. And if we're going to put the car on there, it is 125 quantity minimum. If it's without the car, it's 60 quantity minimum. That's strictly on the racing stuff. If it's a business or something, if you race on Texas shirts, it's a little bit differently. You can call us. It just depends on your quantity and ink colors. Everything is hand drawn. I mean, everything. We don't Photoshop anything onto a shirt or anything like that. Everything that we go through, everything is drawn, and which is the reason for the art fees. We do have several graphic artists that draw for us, and they're really good. So what we do is on any package that you do, we can mix and match. We can do any colors. You can do purple, red, blue, green, and do the rest black. It doesn't matter to us. With your design on there, we can do hoodies. We can do hoodies, long sleeve shirts, t-shirts, tank tops. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's almost limitless what you can do, and you can put all that together in that package to make that minimum requirements. They can call us 318-278-7191, or they can email us at bulletprooftees.yahoo.com, or they can go to the website bulletprooftees.com.
Welcome back as you're taking a look at the battle for fifth. Frazier and Marcy on the track. Justin Prince, Greg Wesley Altman with you, with Charles Wooden in the director's seat. It's a strategy race at this point. As Frazier with the block, this is 14 seconds back from the race lead. Again, Tedrick is your leader on a one-stop call. Brightsman, Paulison, and Weaver are also among the drivers you consider inside that range. This continues to be intriguing. We were talking about this just before coming back, Greg. John Ottenbacher, he actually gained a lot of time on Devin West after the pit stops. He's now less than 19 seconds back of the 72.
Does he have enough time to get there? That's the question. There's going to be 25 to go at the line for BJ Tedrick as he comes now off of turn number 2 down the backstretch. There will be 25 at the line for the 72, and he may have just barely tapped the wall. He may have just barely tapped it. Saw some sparks from the 72 a moment ago. He lets Frank Harris go. Casey Garber coming up as well in the 94.
Got close to the wall again indeed there, Greg. Pardon me, but yeah. This is losing him a bit more time. He's running 42.2s. Drivers on fresher tires are still running about a second and a half quicker.
First driver on fresher tires is Ottenbacher in 8th. The drivers, Brightsman, Paulson, Weaver, Frazier, Marcy, and Smith, they're all within the ballpark of Tedrick, but of those 7, Tedrick was the most recent one on pit road in the number 72. Therefore, he has the freshest tires of those guys. Those tires are within the window now, beginning to plateau, so they'll be evened out here pretty shortly. Ottenbacher in the number 89, though, he's up to 7th, Justin, in the number 89. 17.2 seconds back, 24 laps to go. He's going to need to gain a little under a second a lap on Tedrick from here on if we stay green.
Remember, John Ottenbacher looking for his first win of the season. Tedrick looking for his second. Among the drivers on the strategy call window. It's going to take a lot of time to close in. It's now under 17 seconds as he's now gotten up to Marcy and Frazier. They've been scrapping back and forth. Ottenbacher on the fresher tires leaves him in the dust as a pit stop. This is O'Hare electing to come in here. This may be unscheduled here, Wesley. Oh, in fact, it is.
Definitely. It is an unscheduled pit stop, and we're going to find out what's going on with O'Hare's car. Give me a few moments, and we'll see what's wrong with the 41.
He was actually 40 laps on the field, just touching upon that part of me there. But either way, O'Hare actually has a little potential damage on that car as well. That's going to lose him some time. He tried to stretch it, I believe, trying to hope for a caution flag. Wasn't going his way there. As a result, as he peeled in to get some heels. 22 to go, this time by. Let's continue to be intriguing here. As the gap continues to grow here for the overall lead. Now he's a tenth of a second quicker, Tedrick is, than everybody else on the strategy.
but the lead to the fresh tires continues to shrink. Ottenbacher's up to 5th now in the number 89, first car on fresh tires, and he has opened it up almost 2 seconds now on Devin West in the 5, who is next up on those fresh tires.
Yeah.
So Tidrick, yes, the lead with him and Breitzman grows, but the lead between him and Ottenbacher, which that's the one we're watching, that is shrinking ever so slightly. 15.6 seconds last time by. 0.3 of a second was the gap at that time. Tidrick's last lap was a 42.436. We'll see what he crosses the strike at this time as he comes down. 42.569. Justin, let's see what Ottenbacher does as he comes through 3 and 4 towards the line now.
Yes, indeed, and he's also, by the way, passed by Devin West. That might be a factor with some of the time. Now it's clean time and air. Ottenbacher this time by on the stopwatch, a 42.125 again. So only 0.4 quicker last time by. Let's go around the horn actually on this here, Greg. Do you think he's going to have enough time to catch up with 20 laps to go this time, first off?
At the rate he's going, I don't think so. The rate he's going, he's going to run out of time. So he's going to need Tidrick to start really saving some gas to try to make it. But here's the problem. We already know BJ can go the distance, so Ottenbacher's going to have to step on it. We know Ottenbacher's good to go. We know Tidrick can make it if he has to. Ottenbacher's going to have to go all out here, but he might be in trouble because Devin West is closing in again.
You see that on the stopwatch, in fact, right there as well. But Wesley, you're standing by in the pits because 1, Burke elected to pit. 2, I believe you have an update. And 3, want your opinion as well on this.
Well, Carl Burke just came down to the pit lane. He'll take on his service as well. An unscheduled pit stop putting him a lap down. He's on the pit exit. Stephen O'Hare just checked down with the crew on the 41 machine. Had to do 4 tires. The understanding he had a problem on the racetrack where he think he might have flat spotted the tires, had some type of a vibration, virtually on the car, so he had to definitely come in and make an adjustment. So that's what happened with O'Hare. He just said, okay, well, let's just go ahead and add on 4 tires, fill the tanks up, and just see what we can do as we close into the final 18 laps of this race here at Auto Club. And I'm going to be the antagonist in this deal. I think we're going to see a second swag yellow flag probably around lap 90, 95, and then this is really going to just totally change the complexion of this race.
Gonna jot that down in case some of the drivers wonder, okay, who put the jinx on? But you meant, by the way, it was mentioned by Greg that Devin West has picked up the pace. He's right in the draft of John Ottenbacher now for the scrap for what is for the net leader for the 2-stop call. And as well, they've caught up to Bruce Lee Weaver as well.
Yeah, Weaver is...
That's crashed down the front straightaway. Caution is out. Well, you called for
maybe
caution a little bit earlier. Kevin
maybe a
Smith.
little bit sooner.
All right, we know who the scapegoat is. We know who the scapegoat is, but let's see what happened to Kevin Smith. We're under a swag yellow flag for the second time. As Dan West Jr. is inside, and that'd be big because West Jr., one of the strongest cars in the series. Was he involved? No, he's clear. As they go off into the series, I believe Dennis Moore behind him. Is that the 34?
Gamble.
There? Oh, that's Gamble. 54. Oh, Smith got the wall right in front of Gamble. And you know who is fuming right now? That number 72 of Tidrick. Actually, maybe not, because now I think it's been long enough from pit stops. I think everyone's going to have to pit.
Yeah, everybody's going to likely have to pit, as you see in the swag replay. This is going to change a lot because now it's no longer a fuel mileage race, what Tidrick appeared to have wanted. This is now to who's the best on the short run, Greg. This is going to be very crucial now to try and hold on to the front, and we've seen how much that lead swapped on fresher tires.
And it's shootout time here at Auto Club, Justin. Everybody's going to be coming to pit road here, no doubt about it. We'll see. The good news here for Tidrick as far as track positioning, there is a bit of lap traffic between himself and Breitzman, so all that track position, Tidrick is going to be in his pit stall because remember, he didn't qualify. He has the 27th stall. He could be in his pit stall before Breitzman even makes it on the pit road. No, not quite there, but Tidrick is going to have quite a bit of gap here.
Wesley, you're standing by as they roll into the pits.
Yeah, they're mad at me right now. Somebody wants to run me over on the pit lane because I called this caution just about 10 laps shy of when I thought it was going to be. But, hey, Katie bar the door. Tedrick is in. Tedrick is on the pit lane. So is also drivers, including
Tedrick missed his pit stall.
Brightsman, and Tedrick has overshot his pit stall, ladies and gentlemen. Tedrick misses his pit stall. He's going to have to come back around and do it again. Tedrick did not stop in his pit box. Everyone else does. 4 tires, fuel, splash, ready to go to the finish of this deal. And gentlemen, you know the old cliche, cautions breed cautions. It's technically after midnight. We might possibly see that full moon effect happen here in Fontana. But what an update on Tedrick overshooting his pit stall. A big gambler in this race. He's really going to hurt after missing that, Justin and Greg.
I think he's punching the air right now. Thank you very much, as man. Tedrick with the call. Looked like he had the best call in the race. He's now going to have to go to the very back as he's already having to let cars go, in fact.
A rare mistake from the driver of the number 72. That puts Sean Brightsman into the race lead now, Justin, with Devin West going to be second in the number 5. Here's my question. I'm trying to get a look at the 46 because remember, he already had to use the fast repair earlier in the race. Had damage on the left front. Looks like it's okay now, but we've seen the speed Devin West has in the 5. I don't know. This is going to be interesting to see what happens from here.
Looks like West has at least fixed the damage as Tedrick is now down the pit lane. 1 to go this time, and this is another one of the kickers we mentioned. Quickie yellow track. Tedrick's going to be close to, may potentially even, miss the green flag because it takes a while to get going from the pit lane. It's a 44-second delta under caution.
Let's see, he's getting the left side tires on now on the number 72. What a heartbreaker for BJ Tedrick. He's going to fall outside the top 20 when it's all said and done. And he is mad because he slid out of his pit stall and hit the wall. BJ Tedrick furious in that number 72 right now.
And that's insult to injury if that indeed is the case. He does have some little bit of right front damage, by the way. But the car you're on board with is your race leader. Coming up 14 to go after our second sway caution of the night. Devin West, Stephen Paulison, Bruce Weaver, your top 4. Seth Frazier back in the ball game in 5th. Chris White in 6th. Dan West Jr., Jeff Stabnow, Tyler King, and Ricky Bozier inside your top 10. Autumn Bacher, he looked like he had a chance to win this race. Now starts 11th, Greg, as a result of the yellow.
Yeah, he may have had some issues on pit road as well. I thought he was in a nice position to capitalize if something like that happened. He's got enough time to get up to the front. We know he's got speed in that 89 car as he was able to slice and dice his way. It took him 27 laps to get to the front. He's got less time to do it here. Brightsman, West, your front row, shootout time at Auto Club.
14 laps to go, 28 miles. The question is, will we stay green or will things get interesting again under the dark and under the lights?
Cautions breed cautions, and I just spoke a few moments ago with the man of Kevin Smith, and Kevin said no damage on the 00 in and out after going through the grass. He's going to try to rally back to the front. He's already currently in the top 15.
In 14th position, thank you, Wesley, on the update. He's currently at the back end of the shot you see there in the in-and-out car. Meanwhile, Brightsman looking to stay on the inside. As to the outside goes Paulison up the track. Pushes up as Devin West tries to take away second.
Paulson beat West in that restart there. Now West coming back on the inside, trying to get a run. This is the battle for second. Seth Frazier in number 32. He's up there in 4th. Michigan winner Weaver up in 5th. Great run for Weaver. The pit stop strategy has worked out again. He's got himself in position to try to steal one here as West gets around Paulison for second, setting his sights on Brightsman. That's your series leader in wins, and Brightsman in 6th. And West still looking for that first win of the season.
And Bruce Weaver, you see him now on your screen too. Remember, he needs big-time points to try and jump into the final spot for eligibility for the postseason. He's now in a decent shot inside the top 5 after the caution flag. He was one of the drivers trying to stretch it on the fuel. Was dropping back before the yellow. Now he's got a shot. 12 to go this time. Single file, the top 5 double wide behind them.
All right, we know the speed that Devin West has in that 5 car, putting pressure on Sean Brightsman. Ottenbacher hasn't been able to get any ground. He's still mired back there. He's actually lost a spot in 12th now. Seth Frazier going with West on the outside. Toyota, Chevy, Ford, top 3 drag race down the backstretch. Brightsman leads it into turn 3. Here comes Paulson to the inside.
Paulson, can he make it stick? Remember, he shoved up the track when he was up on the high side. This time, can't make it stick. He does have a bit of back-end damage. Bruce Lee Weaver gives him a shot. West now to the outside. We've seen how important that top line's been all night on fresher tires for the momentum off these starts. Paulson takes away third as up the track goes Frazier. Frazier now with a better run, though. Coming off the corner is West. Still Devin West can't get to the outside off the corner.
6 wins on the year for Brightsman, none for West, 4 for Frazier, none for Paulson, and I believe Stabnow has 2 or 3 in the Cup Series this season. A lot of wins on the truck side for all of these drivers. Brightsman with 2, West with 3, Stabnow with 6, none on the Cup side for Devin West in the 5, still searching for that first win of the season. Brightsman leading the way, 10 to go, and it's a hornet's nest back here.
They were near 4 wide off of turn 4. Dan West Jr. nearly stuffed into the fence, trying to shove up the track to keep it 4. Tyler King nearly hit the back end of Weaver off the corner. Paulson losing time. Where did Jeff Stabnow come from? He was just in the 2 wide, just a few laps to go as the 3 wide behind him.
Stabnow up in the top 5, battling with Paulson right now. Weaver fading now as both King and pole sitter Chris White get around him. Now Dan West Jr. getting around him. Dan West Jr., the 55, can never count him out of one of these races as he's trying to make his way up. I believe he won the truck race at Auto Club earlier this year in that number 55. One of his 7 wins in that series.
Still side by side for the lead as Stabnow looks to dive underneath. Stabnow 37 career victories in Northwest Racing Series action, looking for his 38th. Ricky Bozier now shuffled up. Here comes Ottenbacher now to the inside, trying to get by Chris White as Garber still hugs the very bottom. Oh, well, Brightsman still trying to fight for the lead. Devin West.
There goes Ottenbacher.
Ottenbacher nearly spun. Now they're crashing into the back of the field. Vining spun around into the wall. Caution is out. Harris also involved. And now this sets up another shootout, and the strategy call is now open.
Well, I can tell you I have confidence in what Brightsman's going to do. There we see what brought out the caution. Harris, Vining, and didn't catch who else that was back there. This is all going to start right here. The 3 wide between Garber, Ottenbacher, and White. Watch going into turn number 3. Ottenbacher with a great run on Weaver. Right there, just a little bit of contact between Garber and Ottenbacher. I thought Ottenbacher was going around, saved it, but right there's the contact. That's Kevin Smith, the 00, the 3rd car involved.
You also had Harris hitting the right rear quarter panel of Vining as Vining did not sound happy as he drove it into the fence. Now it becomes a question mark here. We talked about 2 tire calls before, Greg. Guess which wheelhouse this enters on the 2 tire calls?
Oh, would that be the race leader?
Yes, indeed, and he's trying to gain some time at the pit entry as Bruce Lee Weaver stays out Wesley.
Well, I told you I had a feeling a caution would come out on lap number 95. It's lap 93. And another caution to boot on lap 83. So here they come. This will be the money stop. Why? Because this is a chance to take on fresh tires. I don't think anybody is going to be gambling going on for fuel to fill up the tanks. But obviously, putting on 4 new sides is a premium and a must. Everybody, the pit stall, all the way from Chris White, all the way down pit road, almost 23 pit stalls consumed of drivers and crews virtually, making the money stop. Looks like 2 tires possibly on, you guessed it, Seth Frazier. I'll find the story on him in a moment, but I believe it's a 2-tire stop. He's going to pull the trigger and gamble again, like he's done several times before, gentlemen, as everyone else is off the pit lane.
Everybody gambled for 2 tires. Stabnow, West Jr., White, Bozier also gambled. Brightsman actually actually took a 17-second stop, Greg.
But he only took 2 tires. Something happened on his pit stop. I was keeping my eye on him to see what happened. The 46 of Brightsman slid into his pit stall. It was about 10 seconds before the jack went up on the right side tires. So something happened to Brightsman in that number 46 on that pit stop, and that has mired him deep in the field here.
And I've seen it happen before in the sim where you might be in the box, but it takes a while to get going on the jack. He just got hosed a little bit because if you're even an inch over the pit stop sign window, Greg, it doesn't service your car. You can move back an inch and then you get back on the jacks. Brightsman, as a result, is in 9th on 2 tires, coming to a 5-lap shootout. Bruce Weaver on old tires, 10-lap old tires precisely, is up at the front.
So, Justin, the tires were not checked on Sean Brightsman, and that is what cost him dearly in the pits. He's right now having a conversation with everybody on the virtual LSR TV team, trying to find out why, but he had not checked to have his tires done, and then that really cost him.
Wow. And that is something as well that you usually want to check, double check, and triple check, Greg, in that situation.
That is huge. A night of errors here, Justin. 2 drivers who typically do not make mistakes have made crucial mistakes while leading this race late.
So to reset your top 10 with 5 to go, Weaver on old tires, Frazier on 2, Stabno on 2, West Jr. on 2, White on 2, Bozier on 2, Devin West and Tyler King on 4, Brightsman on 2, Ottenbacher on 4 in your top 10, Carl Burke in 11th is on 2, Garber is on 4 tires in 12th. Buckle up. It's about to become an even bumpier ride at a bumpy racetrack. 10 miles to go, 5 to go from Auto Club. Off and away goes Bruce Weaver.
Weaver getting the lead in the number 40. Justin Weaver, winner at Michigan. Here he is at Auto Club. We talked about it earlier today. Could he possibly make the magic happen again here? Here he is, leading the way, late in the going, but Frazier all over him. Weaver stayed out. Frazier on 2 tires.
And Devin West nearly spins it around to the back of the field. He snaps up into Carl Burke. They're crashing in the back of the field. Caution is out again. Several cars crash in the middle of the back straightaway. Daryl Tederick, Johnson, the 54 involved. Vining again involved. And that got ugly quickly on the swag replay as the 5 saved it for a good corner before overcorrecting up into the 53.
It looked like Bozier was already sliding there in the 53 before that happened, as you see Tidrick and Grande hitting the wall as well. I want to take another look at that because I think the 53 of Burke was already sideways because he saw what was going on there with Devin West. I believe this is on board with the 5, and there's the 5. But I want to take a look at the 53 because I thought that I saw he was already sliding before West got into him. There you see West slide, and right there I saw him kind of coming down just a little bit.
He was running towards the middle line. I don't think he was expecting that. And then there was the secondary incident with all those cars you see scattered there. They started crashing again with Johnson, Gambill, several others, as they all tried to avoid what happened off the corner. Let's take a look at that here actually on this angle for the swag replay. This is from the blimp view. These cars were about up to 10-20 car lengths back from all the craziness.
As that's Gambill in the 54, O'Hare the 41. There we see the incident happening right there. O'Hare gets through, but right there.
Just got clipped trying to avoid everything. Smith also involved, as you've seen. I believe that was Dan Lowther you've seen at the very left bottom corner of your screen off the corner, hitting the back end of Daryl Tidrick that sent them around, but we're in green-white checker territory. Several cars now with damage repairs this time. This is about to get very intriguing here, how this plays out here with several cars now damaged and several drivers still on 2 tires towards the front. The first driver on 4 just so happens to be John Ottenbacher in 7th after all the craziness.
Oh, the driver who was the fastest in the first half of the race is back up in the top 10, but Justin, green, white, checkered time. I do believe we have entered that territory.
Yep.
So Bruce Lee Weaver might be in position to steal another one here. He's got Frazier in second, Stabnow third, Dan West Jr., never count him out. He's up in fourth. Chris White, two-time winner, he's in fifth.
Among the other drivers who gained a lot of times and all that craziness, or a lot of positions rather, Kane Brightsman, all back inside the top 10. Don't forget about Dennis Moore. We talked about him in his strong run to the first half of the race. Top 2 at one point. He's in 12th now. He's got a chance for a top 5 in his first Cup start of the season if he can get a good launch and get by some of the drivers on 2 tires in the 34.
So I'm going to be very curious to see how exactly that goes for Moore in the 34, as he sits 12th on the charts right now. Behind him is BJ Tidrick, the 72. Remember, he had far and away the winning strategy, Justin. I think if that race had stayed green, Tidrick had that race locked up.
Yeah.
But now he's back up to 13th. And with the craziness that we're about to see here in the green-white checkers, 2 attempts at it, by the way, who knows what can happen. Tidrick get back up in the top 10 before this is all done.
Remember, for the race to be official, you need to take the white flag then. No more yellow flags to that point, because you essentially, again, will not get a yellow flag during the white flag during an iRacing event. But you get a caution before you get to the white. That will trigger the second green-white checker attempt. If they have another caution before they take the white flag on the second attempt, race will finish under caution as a result. To reset, it's Weaver and Frazier, Stabnow and West Jr., White and Bozier, Autumnbacher and King, Brightsman and Paulus in your top 10, Garber and Moore in row 6, Tidrick and Marcy row 7, Lowther and Devin West. In the back of the field, 15th and 16th, Vining, Harris, Burke, O'Hare among the other drivers on the lead lap. Among the DNFs now from that caution is Roy Grande, also an EOL from incidents to Daryl Tidrick with significant damage, who is still coming off the pit lane. Buckle him up. It's about to get wild. 4 miles, 2 laps to decide it, Greg.
First attempt at a green-white checker. Bruce Lee Weaver, winner at Michigan, trying to pick up the win at the sister tracks, but he's got 3 very fast cars behind him. 4 when you factor in pole sitter Chris White. John Ottenbacher up there as well. Green flag in the air. Shootout time. Green-white checkered attempt number 1. Big start out of Weaver.
Big shot from Brightsman to the back of Autumnbacher as well, who didn't get going. Frazier already hugs the bottom side. Middle of the group, 2 to 3 wide, as Frazier tries to push behind. Stabnow and Dan West Jr. also now in the draft. Chris White also free single file as Weaver blocks to the white line. Frazier goes underneath it for the race lead. Stabnow with a big run. Make it 3 wide for the race lead down the backstretch into turn 3.
Frazier's got the nose in front, looking for win number 5 on the season. He's got the nose in front. Paul Bear's Funeral Home looking good as they come to the white flag. They need to cross the strike before the yellow flag comes out. Oddbacher scrapes the wall. White flag in the air. We've got a race as Frazier crosses the strike. 1 to go here on LSR TV.
Question is, who will take the checkered as Weaver's still trying to block for valuable points? Can anyone catch up to Frazier? Dan West Jr. with a good run off the corner. Stabnow works right behind him. Contact behind as Weaver gets turned. To the bottom side goes Stabnow. Frazier trying to break the draft into the final corner.
This is exactly what he wants to see with Stabnow and West battling side by side behind him. Seth Frazier, he's going to clear him off of turn number 4. He's coming to the checkered.
Seth Frazier brings home the checkered flag. He wins it at Auto Club and a throwing finish on 2 tires. Dan West Jr., Jeff Stabnow, Tyler Kane, and Sean Brightsman rounds out your top 5 in a throwing finish.
He did it. Win number 5 for Seth Frazier. Steals it here at Auto Club. Justin, I think Seth Frazier only led those final 2 laps on the rest of the night tonight, and he led the last 2.
And you have to give Bruce Lee Weaver credit. He knew he needed big-time points tonight. And for the rest of the season, Greg, he tried the strategy call. It almost worked. And then he got turned coming down the backstretch, trying to hug that bottom side, trying to defend those spots.
In the last 3 races, guys, Seth Frazier, as he celebrates on the Auto Club infield grass, 1, 2, 1. 1 Chicagoland. Runner-up last week in Kentucky. He could have won that race, and he wins here again at Auto Club. Wow, what numbers for the 32.
And remember, he had multiple sub-top 20 finishes in the middle part of the spring and the early summer. And as the celebration starts, Seth Frazier's now your hottest driver in the series. Let's take a look at your unofficial race results as the 32 reigns at home and the purple cars smash into the respective color brethren. Dan West Jr. comes home in second. Remember, he was a front runner much of the early part of the race, with Jeff Stabnow in third. Tyler King, Sean Brightsman fourth and fifth. Rick Belcher finishing sixth, with John Ottenbacher in seventh. One of your big storylines of the night. Stephen Paulison in eighth. Casey Garber with one of his best finishes of the year in ninth. And Dennis Moore in his debut does get the top 10, Greg.
Gets the top 10. Stephen O'Hare in 11th in the 41. Chris White, pole sitter, 12th. Josh Marcy, 13th. Carl Burke, 14th. BJ Drick, 15th. After the unfortunate thing on pit road, Devin West, 16th. Frank Harris, Dan Lowther, James Vining, and Bruce Lee Weaver was in the lead as they took the green flag on the green-white checkered. He comes home 20th, 1 lap down.
As mentioned, tried to hold the bottom side, got turned around as drivers a lap down as well with them. Johnson, Heffley, Daryl Tedrick 3 laps down. Roy Grande at ENF 4 laps down. Kevin Smith also done in that last caution before the GWCs. Jeff Hagan 5 laps down in 26. Robert Gambill had an impressive run before he got into some crashes, 7 laps down. Cheney, DNF's 44 laps down, and Brad Carpenter crashed both times on his pit entries in his debut in the Cup Series. Rest of the field did not start in Fournier, Torres, Childress, and Goins for tonight's action. What a race. What a victory. What momentum for Seth Frazier in the Paul Bearer Funeral Parlor Machine. Post-race coverage for the Clan Wars post-race show starts in just a few moments. You're watching LSR TV. Your home for sim racing. Stick around.
ETE Reman is the world's best remanufacturer of transmissions for import and domestic cars and trucks. Based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, our customers are repair shops, auto parts stores, dealerships, and distributors. And with 6 nationwide warehouses, we're where and when you need us. So when you're looking for a transmission that is like new, only better, instill confidence and install ETE Reman.
Welcome back, everyone, to Auto Club for the Clan Wars post-race show. Clan Wars, the official communication partner of LSR TV. As one man came home with the victory in a crazy finish at Auto Club, Seth Frazier takes home the checker flag. He now joins us for post-race coverage from virtual victory lane. Seth, you're now the hottest driver in the series. 2 wins and a second in your past 3 races. How are you feeling coming home with the victory at Auto Club?
Well, I kind of looked into that one, but it was a fun night of racing.
Yes, indeed. But talk us through that green-white checkered finish and that move to the bottom.
Well, I knew Bruce was on old tires, so I knew I had to try to make quick work of that before, Dan and Stabnow came flying up on me. So I thought if I went to the outside of him, there's a good chance Stabnow would go low and put me 3 wide. So I wanted to be on the bottom there going into turn 3, and it just worked out.
How difficult was this race, in your opinion, tonight to try and navigate not just the traffic, but trying to figure out the strategy before, well, precautions happen?
Well, I think if it would have went green, I think Tidrick probably had to hit the head on the nail on the head for strategy-wise, and I think he probably had it won. I was just trying to get off rhythm of everybody else and hope for, a late caution or something along those lines, and it kind of worked out in my favor tonight. But it was a good night of racing.
This is now your 5th victory of the season, and the next race is going to be even more wilder. After the Labor Day break, North Wilkesboro is on the calendar. Your thoughts as we go old school racing to the 1987 edition of North Wilkesboro?
I'm excited for Wilkesboro. A lot of us race short track race in real life, and it would be nice to go short track racing for a week and get away from these cookie cutters.
Anyone you want to thank for your victory tonight?
Well, I need to apologize to Casey Garber for getting into him during the race. Casey's one of my buddies, and it was not intentional. Just kind of ran out of room there. And as far as thanking goes, I need to thank Paul Bear, for coming on board and sponsoring us this year. And anybody out there is looking for a good casket or burial plot, Paul's the guy. Also, yes. We're getting married this weekend, so hopefully in the future I'll still be able to have permission to show up, on Monday nights to do some racing. So we'll see.
Almost forgot about that. How does it feel to be married this weekend?
I don't know. I mean, if she shows up, it'll be all right. We'll see what happens.
I'll be shocked if he shows up. Just saying.
Hopefully, your spell shows up.
Greg a date.
I do gotta say this. Yeah,
you gotta find somebody that'll actually date Greg.
Good luck with
that is the goal of the weekend. Is we are trying to get Greg a date. Next race, I'll have an update on how that played out for Greg.
Wow, chicka, wow, wow.
We'll see what happens with the date front, September 14th. Thank you very much for the time. Congrats on the victory.
Thanks, guys.
Seth Frazier, 5th victory of 2020 in the Cup Series. Your 2nd place finisher is Dan West Jr. He's standing by with Greg Rentz.
Dan West Jr., Greg Rentz through LSR TV got a copy.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, Dan, it was another great performance from you. You were kind of hanging back around the top 10 all day, but made your way up there at the very end for that green-white checkered.
Yeah, I don't think I had much for the guys up front pretty much all night. Trying to save a little, and it didn't seem to be helping out. Had a little contact with another car and knocked the fender in. That didn't help any. So strategized and took 2 tires there at the end, and that seemed to be the only thing that got me up front.
Tell us a little bit about that, not the green-white checkered, but that run beforehand leading up to the green-white checkered, because it was a hornet's nest there between you guys, and you were at one point were kind of stuck on the outside, and it looked like that was going to be what sealed the deal for you because you got mired back there, but then you got a caution to set that green-white checkered up. Tell us about that battle coming to that caution there.
Yeah, I think we're all battling, just kind of feeling our cars out and seeing, whether the inside lane, outside lane really was the place to be. And I know I was battling right there with Seth, and it was just kind of a give and take, if anything. Trying not to burn the right front off of it, but just learning. It seemed like the outside at times was a place to be, and then if you got pinched down, the bottom was horrible. So. I think we're all just kind of feeling it out, at the beginning of the race there.
All right, well, break here next week for the Labor Day weekend slash Frazier wedding, but coming up in 2 weeks, short track racing at North Wilkesboro, the first ever visit to North Wilkesboro for the Northwest Racing Series. You excited for that?
I am really excited. I think that'll be a blast. Get away from this cookie cutter stuff, like Seth said, and get away from this draft. I hate the draft. I just think that, if you pass somebody and then you get passed back because they can draft you, that sucks. So looking forward to that track. It'll be interesting. Hopefully we don't have a lot of cautions. But yeah, looking forward to that. Congratulations, Seth, and we'll see you there.
All right, Dan West Jr., 2nd place here tonight. Who you got to thank?
Oh, LSR TV, you guys are awesome. Thank family out there, Christensen's for watching. Connor Steams, I appreciate you, the support he gives me, and Effective Web Solutions and Northwest Racing Series. Thank you.
All right, that's another 2nd place for Dan West Jr., another podium. Congratulations. And I believe Wesley Outland has caught up with 3rd place, Jeff Stabnow.
I have Jeff Stabdown, driver of that number 24 Waltz Beard Co. LSR TV Ford, will at least finish on the podium in the top 3. Jeff, that's pretty good way to redeem yourself after the problems that you had on the racetrack as well as on pit lane. Just talk about the wildness you had here at Auto Club.
Oh, I'll tell you, the first part of that race was running up front, no problems. I mean, we had a car and it could hang with the leaders. Never know with the draft. I'm with Dan. I kind of sick of the draft, but had a good car and was doing well. And then I just made a stupid strategy call with that early pit. I should have done a one-stopper. So that was the first mistake. The second mistake was hitting those concrete pits with those hot tires and just sliding right through, pinning it up against the wall. Lost a ton of time on that pit stop and come back and did it again. So I really had no business finishing up here in the top 3 tonight. I really, kind of like Seth said, the cautions fell my way. And, once the cautions fell and I got back up there in the top 6 or so, I felt pretty good about my chances there, and just got caught on the wrong side of that 3 wide there at the end. And once I got on, Seth took the inside, I had to take the outside, and that kind of let Dan get underneath me and just killed that run being on the outside there. And then once Dan and I got next to each other, Seth was gone. It then became a race for second place, and instead of even trying to catch Seth. So all in all, I'll take it, but sure didn't feel like I earned this one.
Yeah, I think it's enough said there. Definitely, there was such a long green flag run after that first caution flag, and then, we went all the way to lap 83, I think it was, and people were coming down to the pits before that caution come out. Was the strategy to try to make that money stop and try to take the race to the finish? And obviously, a dumb question, obviously, to ask, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it. Why do you feel everybody and yourself even come down to the pits over and over and over again after we had a green, we had a restart, we had a caution? Did you really use your tires up that fast in less than 10 laps to have to take on new rubber, or is it just strategy-based?
Are you talking about on the green-white checkers there at the end with the less than 10 laps?
Yeah, I'm talking about from lap 75 where everybody pitted under green flag, and then there was a caution on lap 83, and then the caution on lap 93, and everybody pitted again.
Yeah, you in that 10 seconds, you'll fall off a second. Easy. So if you're going to group everybody up there and you're a second slower than everybody, you're just going to fall to the back like a boat anchor. So, in those situations, I think most of the drivers would rather take their chance losing a few spots, getting tires, because you're going to eat up the guys that didn't, than take it. On that second time where we came in, where we maybe had even fewer laps on there. I think a few of us took 2 tires. Most of us up front took 2 tires there. And, that worked out pretty good. We felt comfortable with that, having just a few laps on those tires. But, even then, we were a half second off pace when we came in there. And again, you saw what happened to Bruce Weaver there at the end. He just didn't have anything for the 3 of us, on his old tires there. So I think that's why we come in.
Well, you're going to enjoy Labor Day weekend off next Monday. Everybody will take a hiatus and come back for the Truck Series at Eldora on dirt. And I wouldn't be hard-pressed to mention that without saying I know everybody's looking forward to that truck race on dirt. Not this Thursday, but next Thursday night after we all take off for Labor Day.
Oh, man, we've got a couple fantastic races coming up. I mean, the schedule coming up, I call them wild cards, but it's just awesome. Here in the cars, we've got North Wilkesboro next, which I think is going to be just a fantastic race, right? We've got Pocono coming up, the Daytona Road Course, which we've never done in these cars. Again, just neat. That's going to be a fun one, too. And then, you finish off with the wild card of all wild cards, Talladega Speedway, with all these guys fighting for the playoffs. So love the final schedule coming down the road here in the Cup cars. And it's the same thing in the trucks, with the exception of, instead of North Wilkesboro, we've got Eldora, which that's going to be a scary one. I'm just not. There's a lot of us that aren't dirt guys here. And then you got the West, who, they're out there running dirt in their real cars every weekend. So I got a feeling we're going to get schooled, but we're going to have a great time getting schooled.
So for Jeff Stabnow, gentlemen, he will have now his resume continuing for the Cup Series schedule moving into North Wilkesboro in 2 weeks, including 2 wins on the season. A top 3 here tonight gives him also 6 top 5s and 13 top 10s. That's the driver from Montana, Jeff Stabnow in car number 24. And gentlemen, quick reminder, tomorrow night in a historic race, Wild West Horse Mountain Motorsports Park, the debut of the live sim racing Stadium Super Truck Series. Looking forward to that broadcast. Derek Folt and myself will be on the call, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central on LSR TV. And also remember, in observance of Labor Day, Greg and I will not be on the call for the Truck Series on Thursday. We come back after Labor Day. Justin, Greg, as always, a fun time working with you on LSR TV in the pits. Have a great Labor Day, friends, wherever you travel, racing, enjoying time off, being lazy, working, whatever it is. It's been a fun summer, and it's been a fun time every Monday night joining you guys virtually with the Northwest Cup Series.
Absolutely, Wesley. Can't wait to see as well, though. After the Labor Day break, want to ask you this about this, Greg, on your final thoughts. North Wilkesboro, a track that is a service favorite. It's expected to be a great race.
I'm so excited for this race, Justin. I've gotten to call a couple races at North Wilkesboro on another channel. I cannot wait to see what these guys do at North Wilkesboro. I am looking forward to this. I can't wait. Ever since it was announced that that race had been added to the schedule, it's been circled on my calendar. I'm so excited to head historic North Wilkesboro Motor Speedway.
Yes, indeed, North Wilkesboro Speedway, the 1987 version of it. When the iRacing service was brought in the springtime, made its fantastic debut as the finale for the Pro Invitational Series during that period of 2020 in what has been a roller coaster year. It's since become one of the most favorite tracks on the service. It's expected to be a great one. Again, that's going to be on September 14th. You can catch that here on LSR TV, your home for sim racing. But with that, it's time to say goodbye. For Director Charles Wooden, for our pit reporter Wesley Otwin, for my broadcast partner in the booth as well, and Greg Rentz, I'm Justin Prince. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday night. We'll see you at North Wilkesboro. This has been LSR TV, your home from sim racing. Congratulations to Seth Frazier on another victory in the 2020 Northwest Cup Series season.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of LSR TV and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of 52 Media LLC and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. LSR TV would like to thank you for your support, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast.